Well, we're going to have an open discussion about the Black Panther movie. Um, Today, I'm not declaring war. Y'all going to see a few different types of videos over here now because my live stream on my New Possibilities channel has been shut down. So for that reason, I'm going to do a lot of live streams over here. And hopefully I'll be able to transfer them over to my New Possibilities channel at a later time. But I wanted to have an open discussion about this movie, Black Panther. So if you're interested in joining this live stream, please let me know. I will send you the link. If you just let me know in the chat room, I'll be happy to send you a link as long as you're a channel that I'm familiar with, because I want to have a group discussion. If you follow my New Possibilities channel, you already know how I feel about this film, Black Panther. You have seen me comment on it a lot. I've done multiple videos about the film Black Panther. I even started doing film videos about the film before the film even came out. And I really want to hear from the people, man. I want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think about this film? First of all, let me know if you can hear me okay. I would appreciate it. And if you can, just chime in, let me know in the chat room, or if you're willing, you can come on here live and we can just chop it up about this film. There are a lot of messages in this film, a lot of different statements in this film, many layers to this film. There are a lot of things to talk about. And I'm going to jump into a couple of articles that I came across. One article, some friends on Facebook posted the article, and it raises some interesting points. It's one of those contrarian articles that goes against the grain. And I may read little excerpts from the article and hear from you. I want to hear what y'all think about this film. What do y'all think about the symbolism in this film, the message in the film? So I'm going to share my screen in a few minutes. Just bear with me. I want to give people a chance to tune in. And for the people that are present, I know it's a small audience right now, but if you can let me know if you can hear okay, I would appreciate it. Shout out to my sister. Peace to you. So my sister, did you see the film? What did you think about it? I'm amped up since seeing that film. I may even go see it a third time. I've never seen a movie that many times in the theater. Oh, okay, you can hear me well. Cool. I'm all hyped up, man. I feel like saying Wakanda forever. Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, yeah. Maybe you shouldn't watch this one, then. It's going. We may go into a lot of details. Oh, you didn't see it either, Water Sniper? Man, y'all got to go see this film, man. What are y'all waiting on? Y'all got to check it out. There's going to be some spoilers in this hangout right here. Hopefully, it will get some people on that would like to discuss the film. People who have seen it that are interested in talking about it. Because I really want to hear from the people, man. Because I already know what I think about it. I'm interested in hearing from people that have a different perspective, to say the least. Like, one thing that I'll touch on is this: you had all these, these fake pro-black people, these, contrarians, all these people on YouTube bashing this film before it even came out. They saw a minute and a half long trailer and they were trashing the film, looking for any little excuse to hate on the film. And I can't stand that, man. I can't stand when people try to nitpick and they look for excuses and reasons to justify hating on something that obviously is positive. And I'm sure today you probably have some of these people doing videos after seeing the film, coming up with all these critical analysis, trying to nitpick and find little excuses to hate something that is obviously positive, obviously something great, obviously something that resonates with our people. So yeah, I mean, the energy is there. Like when you go to see this film, you will see that a lot of African Americans are there, dressed in African attire like this, the dashiki. Um, you'll see a lot of people like that. And I've seen clips from Africa, like different screenings that were done in Africa, and you see the people celebrating African culture there as well, celebrating the music and the attire of the people. Like people come to the movies with the drums and the dashikis. They are proud of being African, excited about a film celebrating Africa. How often have we seen that, man? When we sit back and reflect on the image of Africa in Hollywood, the way they have tarnished the image of Africans and African people, and we compare that to what's happening with this film, Black Panther, we see that there is a cause for people to be celebratory, for people to be happy, because we have a positive image of Africa for once. Often the image of Africa is Africa as a war-torn area, Africa as impoverished, Africans as starving, Africans as committing all kinds of atrocities, Africans as savages, all of those negative images. How many of us remember Tarzan, how they depicted African people? How many of us remember those racist cartoons? You know, and the funny thing is, Disney used to put out racist cartoons about African people, and today they are putting out a film that is positive, projects a positive image of African people. That tells you how far we've gone. Disney used to have films or cartoons where they depicted Africans as savages, where they depicted Africans as subhuman. But today we have positive images of Africa. Many of us have talked about we need to see more kings and queens, African kings and queens instead of slaves and butlers and maids and thugs and criminals. And this film has positive images. And that's something that we should embrace. That's something that we should celebrate. And, for that reason, that's one of the reasons why I really respect this film. For once, Black people can be happy about being African. They can celebrate their African culture in a film. I remember growing up, and many of us remember this. To call somebody an African was an insult when many of us were growing up. And now we call ourselves African Americans. We embrace our African identity. Many of us do. Some of us still struggle with that issue. In fact, many of the people that were critical of this film still struggle with that issue because they have a European mindset. They have a Negropean frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? They view themselves through the eyes of their oppressor. Like Du Bois talked about, the double consciousness. Many of our people still suffer from that. So, yeah, man, it's something else. So I'm going to look through your comments and continue on. I see Water Sniper said, go ahead and drop some spoilers. You got to see that film, though. And Sister says the same thing. Randy Johnson said that he saw it and it was a beautiful watch. Yeah, it was definitely a great film. It had everything to it. It had the action, it had the great message, it had great acting, great actors, great direction, great costumes, great plot. So if you haven't seen this film, I encourage you all to see it. It's definitely, one of those films that's well worth it. It was well worth the hype and well worth the wait. So again, I encourage y'all to check it out. So I'm going to show a couple of articles real quick and then comment on them. Let me just pull up some articles if you all can bear with me a second while I pull those up. Okay, yeah, so I'm back. Yeah, I see my brother is here. Brother Minister Speaks. Yeah, man, if you want to join the hangout, we can just chop it up right here. That would be cool. Just let me know and I can message you the link. But my brother is saying that it was a good movie, but it's fiction. Let's get worked up about a Mansa Musa film, which is a true king. He's a great king, one of the richest men in history and all that kind of stuff. I do think that we need to have films about actual Black kings, actual Black queens. There are plenty of Black kings and queens that films can be based on, real ones that have accomplished real things. And, that would give people some historical information as well as entertain people. So I think that that's important to have real African kings and queens featured on film. And I think that this is kind of like paving the way for not only just more Black superhero films, but more positive films about the accomplishments of Black people, more positive films about kings and queens in Africa. I think this is paving the way for that, man. And I think that right now, when they see this large turnout from the Black community, that's going to make it clear to Hollywood that they can sell Black films that are positive. They don't have to give us the hood films, the gangster films, the thug films. They can give us something more than that. And Black people will turn up and show out for those films. We see that this film, Black Panther, is breaking all kinds of records in terms of the sales and all that kind of stuff. So I hear what you're saying. I think that we do need to have more films about real kings and queens, but also there is power in mythology. Mythology shapes people's consciousness. I mean, when I grew up as a kid, like the comic books that I collected, most of the heroes were white people. So imagine a Black kid looking up to some white superheroes. Imagine like how that affects your psyche when the people that you view as great and heroic and powerful are all white. Just imagine the damage that does to the mind. Imagine like how that affects your consciousness when you are taught to view these people as heroes and saviors and this and that. But when it comes to your own Black images, you're presented with negative images. So that teaches you that the white man is great and the Black man is inferior. That's what is subconsciously taught to people. Myths have power. I mean, we know about like Greek mythology, how that mythology like shaped the sense of nationalism and sense of consciousness in Greece and other places around the world. People have myths to relay information and messages. And I think that that can't be downplayed. Myths impact our lives and they shape our lives. They shape our consciousness. So for that reason, I don't have any problem with with a film, with it being fiction and stuff like that, because we watch fiction all the time. But I think that we need to also have the real messages about real people in history as well. Shout out to Psycho. Um, yeah, Psycho, I saw that you had a live stream about this film. If you're interested in hopping on here and sharing your thoughts about the film, I'll be interested in hearing what you have to say. I can message you the link. Actually, I can share the link right now in the chat room so people can join. If a troll hops on here, then I'm gonna have to bounce them off. But yeah, I'll share the link. But first, I want to comment on a couple of other things, and then I'll post the link in the chat room so people could just hop on. Um, so I'm going to share my screen right now, share a couple of articles, and I want to hear what y'all have to say about these. Okay, so this first article right here is an article that somebody posted on Facebook. Like a couple of my friends on Facebook posted this article. And just by seeing the title alone, I was just shaking my head like, what? Get the hell out of here with this, man. Talking about Black Panther is not the film we deserve. And basically in this article, they're talking about that character, Killmonger, and basically saying that instead of like fighting against colonialism and stuff like that, instead of projecting that as an important value or fighting against racism and this and that, this film essentially celebrates, elitism. It celebrates a kingdom that's isolated and disconnected from the rest of the Black community, and it essentially attacks African Americans or shows African Americans in a bad light and this and that. And it goes on, but I won't go into all the details about this article, but I'll post it in the description box so that people could read it later. But it raises a whole bunch of issues. It raises issues about this character being African American and wanting to take a military, like, or militant type of posture, a revolutionary posture, but yet this, the main character, Black Panther, is against that and this and that. And, it talks about the tension between Africans and African Americans, what happens to Killmonger's father, and, how Killmonger is disconnected from his people and all this and that. So I wanted to hear from y'all, like, what do y'all think about that character, Killmonger, and what do you think the message is with respect to that? The message about African Americans and Africans and all that kind of stuff, and their ties and connection or disconnection. So that's one article that I wanted to just raise briefly. I'm not going to go into all the details of the article. Instead, I'll just post it in the description box later. Also, I want to show you all this article that I saw on the Root, where this person is basically, and this article is called "Don't Play with Our Emotions, Black Panther and Queer Representation." And basically, this person was claiming that there was a scene that has some subtle lesbian type of references in the film, and that scene was taken out of the film. And they're basically complaining about, gay people not being represented in this film, or, them not including that scene and this and that. So it's like you can have people that find reasons to hate, man. And then also I saw that there were people, these white people complaining that they were attacked at the Black Panther movie theaters and stuff like that, by Black people who were overly enthusiastic about the film. So I want to hear what y'all think about that as well. So let me stop sharing my screen. I'm just going to post those articles in the description box. I'm not going to go into them right now. But yeah, I'm going to share the link right now to see if there are any people that want to hop on and share their thoughts. Hold on, I'm going to share my link. 1 second. So if people want to hop on. The only thing I'll say about that gay issue is this. I think that I'm kind of glad that they didn't include that kind of stuff. It's good to see a movie where you have Black men and women being celebrated, and then you also have Black relationships being celebrated, Black romance and stuff like that. So I think that to add that to the film would have just created another reason for people to tear down this film. And in fact, this is a family film. So you need to have something that appeals to a wide range of people, that appeals to kids and stuff like that. There was no need to put that stuff in there. That's just my thought about that situation. But I'm interested in hearing what y'all think about it. Yeah, so I posted the link. I see that Psycho said he would be interested in joining. Yeah, I agree. Like those titles, just the titles alone say, just prove how wrong those articles are, especially the one where the guy is talking about Black Panther is not the film we deserve. I think that's stupid. Hey, what's up, Psycho? What's going on?
What's going on, New Possibility?
So what did you think about the? I'm sure you saw it. I didn't get a chance to watch your hangout, but what did you think about the film, man?
I saw it more than once.
Yeah, me too. I saw it twice, man. I
um,
may go see it a third time, but yeah, that movie is something else. So what did you think? And you had to
I
be
was,
impressed, I'm sure. You saw it twice.
yeah, I was pleasantly happy with the direction that they took the movie. I was a little bit concerned as far as like how they was going to represent the character. I wasn't concerned about some of the nonsense that some of the other people was concerned about, like like some of the African imagery being this and all this other nonsense. There's stuff nitpicking. A lot of people was nitpicking, looking for a reason to piss in our cereal, so to speak. Like
Right.
they just looking for a reason. So it happened. You saw it since the trailer came out.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so now the movie finally came out, but I had my own concerns as far as, but I do this with all. I'm a superhero freak, so like when these movies come out, I approach them all the same way, and this one was no different. I approached this like I approached any other superhero movie. Is they going to keep this real based according towards how the comics depicted them? That's because I'm a purist like that.
So
I
did you
want to.
watch, did
I just
you so did you read Black Panther comic book as a kid, like back in the day, or are
when
you
I got
reading
a
the new
chance,
comic book?
by the time I got old enough to really go out there and like, really like understand the storylines and everything, like I always was interested in the superpowers and all that stuff as a little kid and everything. But as I got a little older, I realized these characters actually got motives behind what they do, and I started looking more, deeper into the actual characters. By that time, there really wasn't no Black Panther comic book really out. The series had stopped running, but he would show up occasionally in other comics. Like he'll pop up in like a Fantastic Four or a Spider-Man. He was a part of the Avengers, so he'll occasionally be in they team up. So I was familiar with the character, and I knew his backdrop and everything else. But they kind of threw him on the back burner for a while, but they did that with all the black characters. Luke Cage was thrown on the back burner for a long time. They didn't do nothing with him. Falcon, another one, he was thrown in the back burner for a long time. Didn't do nothing with him. He was just like Falcon. Honestly, was the first black superhero that I recall attaching myself to because I used to go to the supermarket with my mother when I was a kid. They used to at the supermarket. How they had like the TV guides and the choirs and all that stuff and everything else. They used to have comic books there. It wasn't no comic book stores. They used to sell the comic books with everything else. What I mean, where all the other magazines, the Jets and the Essence and all that and everything else, and the comic books would be right there. So I'll go grab a couple of comic books, but the one I used to always grab was Captain America because Falcon was his sidekick, and it was the only black person I saw in the comics. So I used to always grab Captain America comic books because of Falcon. Because again, Black Panther had stopped his run, and then I would get Luke Cage and everything else. So it's interesting, but I'm a purist like that, and I approach this like the same way I approach any other movies. Like, is this real towards the comics, or did they twist this to try to fit some larger storyline? Right. They kind of like mess the character up because they've done that before with other characters, and I was a little bit concerned they might do this because he came so late in the MCU. Like, this is late appearance for him in the MCU. Like, most of these characters already developed, so I was a little bit nervous about that, but they did a really good job to me, tying as far as like doing his origin and tying it in with the bigger picture and attaching social issues that are relevant today in real life. Like they really like, like if a Wakanda did happen or did exist, I can see these same type of issues coming up. Like, right. I think it did. Like I saw you read the article, and they was depicting how the movies, pretty much showing a divide between Africans and American blacks. And I'm saying to myself, well, that's realistic. There is a divide there. These are the type of conversations that happen. We have these conversations all the time in our community. You understand what I'm saying? Like this, like it's not like they was making stuff up like this, that, and the third. No, this happens. Like the Africans look at us a certain type of way, and we look at them a certain type of way. and and both sides has a little animosity towards the other, and they touched on that, and that's actually a taboo topic in our community, and I was a little surprised they took it there, but they did, and I was like, okay, and yeah, and I also went into the movie really nervous about Michael B. Jordan's role. I'm just not. Going into this movie, I just wasn't the biggest Michael B. Jordan fan. I don't have a problem with him. I just wasn't really a fan. You know, a lot of people like him and everything else. I hated him in Fantastic Four, the Human Torch. Hated that role.
No, I didn't see those films.
Yeah, you ain't missing nothing.
The Fantastic Four. I have to check that one out.
Trust me, you didn't miss nothing. It's the worst. That Fantastic Four with him in it is top 3 worst superhero movies of all time. Top 3 worst superhero movies of all time. Like, it's that bad. Like, so yeah, I hated him in that role. So when he came in here, I'm like, I don't know about this. I wasn't too excited about him. I was excited about the movie, but I was like, I don't know. But you know, I went in there with an open mind, and he pleasantly surprised me. He ended up being one of my favorite characters. I loved his role. I understood his mindset. I understood why he was doing what he was doing. It was real easy to connect with him. It was the perfect role. Like, again, because he came in acting as a Pan-Africanist, but he was upset at Wakanda for, isolating themselves from all the rest of the Black people. So I totally understood where he was coming from. I totally got it. Yeah, I love the character. I love all my bad guys. I like to be able to have a hard time telling whether or not my bad guy is actually a bad guy. I like my. That's why I'm a big Magneto fan, because I don't view him as a bad guy, even though he plays the role. I don't view him as one. He's just somebody who just sees things different. You understand? That's how I kind of view Killmonger. He's somebody who just saw things different. I appreciated his role. I appreciated the movie. I was a little surprised Angela Bassett's parts were so small. Like, she almost was kind of just a throw-in. Like, she really didn't even really need to be there per se, like, as far as her story. But, that I guess that's good that they didn't need her to carry the movie. It's just a little surprising. Like, this got to be like the smallest role I ever seen her play.
Yeah, even Forrest Whitaker's role was small. But yeah, I hear you on like the comic book thing, like comparing the actual comic book to the hero. Like, I've done that with the X-Men films. Like, I've been disappointed with certain things that they have in the X-Men films. So I feel you on that. And then also, like, with the villains, I mean, the best villains are the ones that you can identify with, that you sympathize with. Like, even though like they're evil or they're bad, there's certain aspects of them that make you identify with them, or like not want harm to come to them. Not to the point where you're rooting for the villain, but it's like you understand the villain where he's coming from. And they did have that in this film. You could kind of identify with him. But one thing that troubled me is like when he destroyed the plants, that make
that was a little
like, why did you do that? And then that shows to me like he wasn't a good, like, that destroyed any element of good in him, as far as I was concerned. Because at that point he proved that he was all about self more so than about continuing the legacy. And then the way he treated the elders and all that kind of stuff, man, I couldn't identify with that at all.
He had little respect for Wakanda tradition.
Yeah, it's like it seems like he was more powerful. It seems like he was more about power instead of like really about Pan-Africanism. Like, he wanted that throne. That seemed to be like his main thing. And then the fact that he used that guy, the white guy and all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just something. But yeah, I mean, you're right about like the tensions between Africans and African American, like the issues between us, like, just the practical problems or the obstacles that we face, and we're trying to realize Pan-Africanism. They're very real obstacles. And like, if a country did have that kind of resource, like that, the metal and stuff that they discovered or landed in their territory, I mean, the West would try to take that resource. I mean, so I can understand why they would isolate themselves off from the rest of the world, because we see like with all these other precious minerals in Africa, the West and now China and stuff like that have been plundering Africa of its resources. So it's understandable why they would want to be insulated and isolated and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was a really, really deep movie. As far like they touched on a lot of social issues. A lot of people was complaining for the lack of action scenes, I thought that was actually a good thing. I didn't think this movie needed to act. I was more concerned with the storyline, and that's what makes this movie even more good, because it didn't need all that extra sizzle, like with the action, all like, or you know, like just a bunch of meaningless action scenes. That's just, you know, because a lot of times when you get these movies that got great action scenes, the storyline is lacking.
Yeah.
So they trying to mask it with this special effects and the action and everything else. They try to mask a bad storyline, and they try to hit you with a lot of sizzle, and it ain't really no steak. Like this one had a lot of steak, not you know, little sizzle, but a lot of steak. So you left the theater full.
Yeah,
So
I like the action sequences in there. I mean, they could have had more action, but I think the action that was in there was awesome. Like the
ones that was there, yes, I agree. Like the car chase was amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Like that car chase, and then also the scene where the sisters are fighting against that guy Killmonger, man. I like those scenes.
Oh man,
that was awesome,
I forgot that, who was his head of security name?
I can't remember her name, the general's name.
She was off the chain. She boy.
Yeah, that scene in the casino too. That was a great scene too, man. Like the fighting scene up there. Like
yes. She was working that staff, right?
Yeah, she was killing them, man.
It was definitely a lot of things. I liked how they had all the different tribes representing all of Wakanda. Like Wakanda wasn't just one tribe; it was a coalition of a bunch of different tribes. And then they had all the elders. They had like the elders round table where they all got together and discussed things and you know, came up, I guess you could say, with common laws and whatever. And yeah, I said this in my stream. One of the things that I was nervous about was M'Baku going into this movie. I was nervous about M'Baku and how he was going to be portrayed, because, you know, he's one of the things that they latch on to when they want to talk about racism amongst the Black Panther franchise or whatever, because of the name Man-Ape and everything and the whole gorilla thing. So I was a little nervous about how they was going to depict him, but I didn't walk away there thinking that they, you know, disrespected in any type of real way. Like they dumbed it down a lot opposed to the comic books. You know, they didn't even call him Man. They called him by his African name, which is M'Baku, which is good, because I'm glad they didn't even bother to try with the name, because that would have completely took the whole movie in a completely different direction.
So is he a character in the new comic book, or are you?
No, he's like original Black Panther character. He was in the comic books. He's actually the one who ended up murdering his father. He actually played part in murdering his father in the comics. He was challenging him for the crown of king, same way in the movie, but it wasn't T'Challa he was challenging, it was his father. And, and he ended up killing him. Yeah, but he cheated though. And he cheated and ended up killing him. And then T'Challa ended up challenging him in the comics, and then he ended up beating him, and he became king. So that's how it worked in the comics. And in this one, you know, they had to twist it and everything, because you know, T'Challa's father died already in Captain America: Civil War, so they had to change it up to try to, you know, fit the storyline, the biggest storyline. Yeah, but I thought his character was good though. I love the scene when he told the white dude to shut up, and he better not talk.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, that's one thing that I really loved about this film, is like how they didn't have like white saviors in this film. Like a lot of times, like they always had like a white character in there who ends up making a difference and being all this and all that and stuff like that. Like they have a story that's supposed to be black, and then it detours and becomes a story celebrating some white savior. But here it was like black people were at the forefront. You know, these white characters were pushed off to the side. And I like how they were telling him to shut up and you don't have this much, basically saying, this is our land, we run this. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. As a character, he was just a token white guy. I mean, he was real minuscule. I mean, they could have told that whole movie without him. They threw him in there as the token white guy to make white people feel comfortable about watching the movie, because he really played next to no role. I mean, yeah, you could tell that whole movie without him, and you won't miss a beat. Like, you know, like he really had no real substance there besides being the token white guy. So it was funny, because I know you remember when the trailer came out, there was a bunch of people running around saying, "Oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Watch, it's going to be a white savior. Watch, it's going to be a white savior that's going to come down and save all the country and blah blah blah." And then I knew right then and there. I said it back then in the summer. I said, anybody who's running around here saying Black Panther is going to have a white savior do not understand this character or know who this character is or what he represents. Because it is like white people aren't even allowed on that land. Like I said, the only reason why he ended up there was because, again, they needed a token white guy. So they just found the excuse for the token white guy.
Yeah, when all those people were bashing the film, man, like before it even came out, just on that 1.5 minute long trailer, I was like completely disgusted. And I did this video, like, you know, voicing my opposition. And that video, like, is close to 100,000 views, man. I'm like, but it's like, it's just crazy, man, that you had all these people jumping on this bash Black Panther bandwagon before the film even came out. It's like they were anticipating something negative, looking for something negative.
Exactly.
And you know, the film has some funny moments, like, you know, that character you're talking about. You know, they were talking about like, they were asking him, like, I think this is the same character when, you know, they went to his kingdom. And he was like, if you do this and that, I'm going to feed you to my children.
Oh, yeah, that's what he said to the white dude. Yeah, he was like, shut up.
No, just kidding. We're vegetarians.
Yeah. He's like, you don't speak here. I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's what I wanted to see when I went to the movie, because that's how they are in the comics. That's how they are in the comics. And that's how I was like, I hope they don't do like a Nat Turner on us and then get this on in the movies and then give us a cupcake version of what is supposed to happen. You understand? But they didn't give us that. You know, they was real standoffish towards Europeans. They called them colonizers the entire movie.
Yeah, and that's something I like, you know, that they were calling them colonizers. Like, they were just showing disrespect, but it was like in a lighthearted kind of way.
Right.
And I like that. I mean, I got to be upfront. I like that, man. It's because it's like so often it's like the white character is like all this and all that, and the black man or black woman is playing second fiddle. And it was just great to see a film where that didn't happen, you know.
Exactly. I totally agree. I love the sister. The sister, I thought she played it good. I thought I liked her role.
Great.
Yeah, she played it up. I thought she was good. I thought she, you know, it was good back and forth with them two. They had good chemistry. I enjoyed her role. Let's see who else. I'm trying to think of other characters in the movie that was good. I was a little surprised that they killed Claw off the way they did, but it was also impressive that they did that.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. I thought his character would last longer. I thought his character would be like the main villain, but he wasn't. You know, and that was great to find out.
Yeah, it was, because I don't know if you was like me, but when Michael B. Jordan freed him out the police station, I was so upset with him. I was like, look, it always got to be one. It always got to be one. Europeans and all this other everything else until you found out what his motives was, and he was just using them as a tool. Then I was like, oh,
great. I like that. That was smart. Like, I like the way they did that. Because at first they got you thinking, well, this black guy is working for this white guy against his own people and this and that. But it turns out he was just using him as a pawn.
Right.
And then, you know, the thing with Killmonger that really made him a villain, like that made it harder for me to sympathize with him, is like when he killed that woman, you know, when that guy was holding her hostage, basically.
That was another best stuff.
I was like, I can't kill this guy. I'm not identifying.
That was ruthless.
Yeah, I'm not identifying with him after that.
And she was a ride or die too. She was riding with him, like she was his ride or die for that little bit.
Yeah, and then he just took her out like that, man. That was messed up.
I kind of wanted to see her go to Wakanda too. It would have been interesting if she got there as well, or whatever. I was a little upset she passed away the way like they killed her off. But they had to do something to probably, you know, the reason why they did that was to get you to feel that way. You know, they had to do something to make
not identify with them. But if they like didn't have something like that, he could have been a more sympathetic character and like had to differently and identifying with him. Because when you think about it, like, you know, you think about like the technology that they had, like, you know, they probably had that technology back during like Jim Crow and apartheid, South Africa, stuff like that.
Yeah, it dates back centuries according to comics, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they could have used that to free the people from apartheid and Jim Crow and slavery and all that kind of stuff, man. So I think that raised a great point. And then, you know, like how they were talking about the issue of mass incarceration and this and that.
How'd you feel about Killmonger's father?
About his father getting taken out?
Yeah, like how'd you feel about that whole thing about T'Challa's father killing his father? Like, because you know his motives was the same as Killmonger's. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that was like a tragic scene. Like I had mixed feelings about it, man. It's like, first of all, like I don't know if it's a good idea, like to give away the technology, like and create more violence in the world, like more people would have access to it. And I'm sure that if Black people had their hands on that technology, then other groups of people would get it access to it as
yeah.
well. And I think he was selling. I don't know who he was selling the vibranium to, like if he was
I
selling it
think he
to
was
white
giving it to
people or
black
not.
people. He was going. I think his intent was to give the black people to start the revolution. I think that was his intent.
Yeah, it's just like that was just a messed up scene, man. How his father ended up dying, and then so that character, do you think like Killmonger represented African Americans? Like, what do you think about that? Like the symbolism in that, man.
I think he represented some segments of African American thought. I definitely think he represents certain segments. You know, it was a little over the top at times, of course. But it's a comic book movie. But I think a lot of how he felt is a lot of people feel for real. Like I mean, you can just look around in this community here on YouTube, and you can just see how people are very anti-African now. Like people just want to distance themselves from African. They hate Africa. You talk to a Hebrew, ask a Hebrew about Africa, they'll curse the Africans out. You ask these indigenous people, we're not African, they'll curse the Africans out. We're indigenous. They just and it's this animosity towards Africa. And a lot of and then you got the other people that have just been psychologically brainwashed to believe that Africa is completely different than what it is. People get nothing but negative images that come out of Africa. Right. That's what originally triggered people with the Black Panther trailer, was some of the African imagery. They got turned off by it. Like people want to distance themselves from this. They're embarrassed about Africa. Exactly. In so many words. That's pretty much what it is. They're embarrassed. They're ashamed.
Yeah, they've been taught to hate themselves. Like they've been taught to hate Africa. And I hear what you're saying about like these Hebrew Israelites. I was like, somebody left a comment on like one of my videos about Black Panther, and they were like, "We're not African, we're Hebrews," and this and that. When I hear that stuff, man, I just think about how brainwashed those people are, man. How lost they are. How they wallow in self-hatred, man, and just how gone they are. These people actually identify with Israel instead of Africa, where they come from. It's just mind blowing, like that these people actually have such hatred towards Africa and African people, when that's what they are. They are Africans. They came from Africa. We come from the west coast of Africa. And then you had these indigenous buffoons that are like saying we're not from Africa, where they're like asking all these retarded questions that are answered already, like where are the ships and where's the proof we came from Africa. When the fact of the matter is, you have artifacts of slave ships, you have slave ship logs, documenting when these ships would go to Africa, how many slaves they would bring, and who they sold the slaves to, and this and that. But yet you had these
you can go
conspiracy-minded buffoons on here.
They still got some of those former slave ports open to the public to visit and look at it and everything. Like I forgot, was it Louisiana? Yeah, I think they had a slave port that they still have down there that they used to use. Like you can find these things. These things is all over the place. You got your oral history. You got your oral history that's passed down generation to generation to generation. You gonna sit up here and say that our great grandparents was lying to us? No, I'm not gonna believe that. Like this is craziness. Like, what are we talking about? I can't believe people really run around here trying to convince me that slavery is fake. Like, this is what we are in the information era. How are we devolving? How are we devolving mentally?
Exactly.
In 20?
It's like how does that happen, man? When you got all this information, but you got these people that are like denying the facts, the basic facts that are proven.
Right.
But this is what happens in YouTube land, man. But one thing I was thinking about is like just one thing that's really positive about this film is just like an advanced African society, man. Seeing that, seeing a society that's more advanced than the United States, like it was more advanced than all other societies in America, in the world, you know. I think that that was great. And then you had African scientists, you know, they depicted a black woman as a scientist, you
Right.
know, helping to create the costumes and the technology that Black Panther used. I think that that's positive, man.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And she was young too. Like in the comic books, you know, T'Challa is actually doing all that she was doing. You know, T'Challa is kind of like a one man army. Like he was the the smartest person in Wakanda. He was, you know, he had a lot to do with the technology. You know, he was king. You know, he was rich. You know, he pretty much was our Batman, so to speak. You understand? So then okay. Yeah. I don't know what's about to happen, but yeah. He pretty much was our Batman. So at the end of the day, you know, they made the movie. I guess they decided to take a different role and say, you know, well, we're gonna make her the brains of the operation, which is cool. I was okay with that, you know, because again, I felt in the comics, I felt like they did a little too much with T'Challa. He was too Batman-ish.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the comic. I got to check out the comic book more. But I read like the recent issues, like back in the day, like well, not back in the day, you know, when they first uh, put Black Panther back out in comic books and stuff. I started checking out you know, checking out the comic book and everything. And it was harder to follow. Like I'm not as into the comic book as I am into the film. Like it's complete. It seems like it's slightly different. You know, the newer issues of the comic book. Have you checked out the newer issues of Black Panther? Like,
No, I'm
yeah.
familiar with the older version of Black Panther. I haven't saw the new stuff, but I see the new stuff is heavily based on the females. I saw they actually had a whole series on the females that what we call it that was his security and I believe his sister and everything. They got a whole comic book series on just them. I didn't catch none of it, but I did see that they did start one recently in the new universe because they kind of like they always reboot it every X amount of years. They reboot it and start all over again and everything else. And you know, in this run of the Marvel universe or whatever, they focusing a lot on the sisters out in Wakanda. I think they trying to really promote them.
Yeah, I noticed it. Like I heard that they had like a side comic book that's like a offshoot from Black Panther, and I
Right.
think that they stopped running that issue because it didn't do well in terms of sales and all that kind of stuff. And there's supposed to be another comic book as well called The Rise of the Black Panther. I'm gonna check that one out as well. But the one that Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing, like that's the one that I started to check out. I had like the first 4 issues. And I'm gonna go back and look at it and try to like see how that compares to the movie. But the movie,
Have
in
you
my
watched Black Panther series on BET?
no, I haven't watched that. I didn't. Oh, they have the
If you ever
series
get
on
a
B.
chance, check that out. It's only like 6 episodes, but it's really good. And they took it straight from they took like the storyline straight from the comic books.
Do
So
you
it's
know if that's on demand? Is it still playing now, or is that something that's?
I don't know why BET isn't showing it right now with the launch of the movie. Like this would be the perfect time to re-show it and re-air it on BET, but for some strange reason they're not. I don't know why. But it used to come on. I think it came on. I think it's like 2011, 2012.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, BT. It was like it was a short run. It was only like 6 episodes. They actually touched on him being in a relationship with Storm because Storm is actually his wife. It was like
Yeah, I see somebody else has joined. I want to see.
yeah, it's a troll. He keeps muting me. Because Storm is actually his wife. It was like
Yeah, I see somebody else has joined. I want to see.
you know, it always gotta be trolls to come in and try to bust up stuff, especially European trolls. You know how they are. You muted. You muted. He muted you. You muted. New possibilities. You muted.
Yeah, I was wondering if that would be a problem with trolls. Yeah, I guess they're over here
Yeah.
too.
especially Black Panther in the title. You already know. You already know these European trolls. They triggered. They triggered, and they running around here losing their minds. You know, the We Was Kangs crowd is out and about, and you know they pissing in our cereal. At least they tempting to. So yeah, I mean, you heard about the fake reports and rumors they tried to start up on social media.
I wanted to talk about that too. Yeah, about like these people saying that they got attacked while watching the Black Panther, like these white women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I see this person making these comments in the chat. I'm gonna have to just get rid of them.
Like I said, they trolls. These are the same type of trolls that started these rumors up on social media. The ones that's running around here doing this stuff right now. These are the type of people we're dealing with. These 4chan people, these Pepe people, these Stormfront dudes. Like this is what we're dealing with. The white supremacists. Like I said, they bored. They ain't got nothing better to do. They're upset because they have to watch this movie. They hate that they have to watch this movie. But you being an MCU fan, you understand that you have to watch all these movies.
Yeah, because they're all connected, man.
Yeah, if you miss one, you're a little lost on the biggest story. So you have to watch all these movies. So the fact that these Europeans, because you know these little racist Europeans, a lot of them are comic book geeks. So, you know, the fact that they got to sit up here and watch all this blackness makes them want to, like, they already pissed off about, they still pissed off about Luke Cage. They like, now we got to deal with this Black Panther stuff too. When is this going to ever stop? Like, they losing their mind. So, like, yeah. So this we also got to deal with that. They forced to watch something that they're not interested in watching.
Yeah, that's something else, man. And I heard that, you know, some of them are complaining. Like I saw something about this conservative commenter, you know, saying all this negative stuff about Black Panther. I haven't checked it out myself, but I'm going to check it out. I may do a response. But yeah, I mean, it's like they're creating these fake stories about women getting attacked in the films. It's crazy, man.
Yep. If Black Panther is so, to the black people that hate Black Panther so much, if Black Panther is so bad, why are these racist Europeans so pissed off? Why are they so?
That's a good question. Because like if it was like some shucking and jiving type film, they would be celebrating it. They would be happy.
They love those shucking and jiving films. They love them. They use it to throw them up in our face.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just something else. It's like that. You were talking about like how the films are connected. Like this film, you have to watch like you know, Civil War to like see like the how this film was being set up, like how they were going to go in this direction and stuff.
Right. To get a better understanding of actually what's going on, yeah, it's best to watch Civil War first, so you can understand just a little bit more about the character. You're absolutely right. You don't have to. It's not a must. But you'll have a better understanding if you do. Exactly, yeah, because it'll help explain stuff. You'll understand the relationship between him and his father more.
Right, and you'll understand like how his father died, like the circumstances of his father's death and all that stuff.
Right, and you'll understand the post credits more too. You also understand that a little bit more.
Right.
And this also,
I can't wait to see that other film, that
Infinity War. I was just about to say. This got me amped up for Infinity Wars. Because you know it's going to be scenes in Wakanda in Infinity Wars, right? Like that's one of the places they're going to be fighting at and beefing with Thanos at, because Thanos sends out his I forgot this little group that oh God, y'all just don't stop, do y'all?
Is this that same truth?
You are really dedicated. With Thanos at, because Thanos sends out his
All right. Yeah, he has to go. Okay, there we go.
He's really dedicated. I told you they triggered. I told you. See, look, family, they triggered.
Yeah, and it's like, how many accounts does that troll have? Like, that's like at least 3 accounts.
Yeah, they triggered, family. I mean, this is what I'm saying. But you guys are upset. What you upset about? You upset because these white supremacists upset? Because they upset. You see, they trolling YouTube looking for Black Panther videos and streams and stuff like that to mess with. Like, this is what they like, but that's why I don't understand why black people are so mad. I really don't get why black people are mad. I get why they're mad. I don't understand why black people are mad.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just it seems like a minority of black, but they are a vocal minority that has a lot of like a lot of attention and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
know that, like, I think Jason Black was one of the people that bashed this film before it even came out. Like, I'm wondering if he's done some review on it. I'm not subscribed to his channel, so I don't even know what's popping with him and stuff.
I like
But
Jason Black, but I think I like Jason Black, but I definitely don't agree with him on this. I
did he
touched.
do a? Do you know if he did a review on this?
No, I don't think he did. He gave his opinion about the movie, but I don't even think he watched it to review it.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I don't quote me, but I don't think he watched it to even review it. But don't worry, he will watch it. They all go to watch it. All these people that complained about the movie is going to watch it, but they're going to watch it with the sole purpose of finding something wrong with the movie. That's going
Yeah,
to
I
be.
think that's probably what they're doing. They probably sit down and say, "Let's find out what's wrong with this movie, so that
Yep.
we can talk about it." I mean, I'm sure without a shadow of a doubt that that's what they do when they get into these film, watch a
Yep.
film like this. They say, "Let's go through it and just like look for anything that's wrong that we can highlight and criticize." Just to be contrarian, just to go against the grain, the popular grain, and all that kind of stuff, and just to tear this down and stuff. There's no doubt in my mind that he's doing that, man. If he does do a review,
And people don't understand. People like you giving Disney this money, you giving Disney this money. Disney is a conglomerate. Disney is a monopoly. Disney, it's funny because I'll hear these people say protest Disney, don't give Disney your money. But like I said in my stream, guess what? Guess what Disney owns? Time Warner. Guess what a lot of you people cable companies is? Time Warner.
right?
So you on Time Warner giving Disney money, telling me not to give Disney money. It's
Yeah.
like
Anytime you watch ABC, you're giving Disney money. So I mean, it's
ESPN,
like,
ESPN, Hulu. They own 21st Century Fox now. So I mean, like, it's impossible to avoid Disney. How do you avoid Disney if you're messing around online or any type of entertainment? Because this is your entertainment also. YouTube videos, all this stuff. This is all entertainment. Social media is entertainment. You cannot go around. You cannot deal in entertainment and not mess around with white supremacy in some form of fashion. We are on a white supremacist website. Let's just be real. White people own Google and Google owns YouTube. And like, so we talking about another conglomerate. So like, it's impossible to avoid it. So I'm like, so for people to get on these conglomerates telling me to protest this other thing because it's owned by a conglomerate is like,
right.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
And then I think that by supporting this film, we're sending a message to Hollywood, telling them to produce more positive films about Black people. Like by seeing all these Black people come out, and this guy's back on him.
You're seeing me, I warned you niggas not to fuck with me.
These dudes just don't quit. They don't quit. You got him?
Yeah, I got him now. Yeah, man, I don't know, like, why they so intimidated by a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like a fictional movie, and why are they so intimidated by two Black men talking about a film, man? It's like, why do they feel the need to even be here? I mean, they should be over on like Chimp Mania somewhere or some other racist website or something.
Exactly.
Why are they here?
Even like they coming in here to chime in on a movie or nothing.
Yeah, they're not even coming with arguments. They're just trying to disrupt everything.
Exactly. They trolls. That's what trolls do. Trolls. Like come in here and make an argument. Say I didn't like the movie because of X, Y, and Z, and let's talk about it. Whatever the case may be. But they're not even doing that.
Right. They're just disrupted. And I see some people mention Chrissy. They said that she had something to say about the film.
What's her complaint?
Watch too many of her videos.
It's dark-skinned people all in that movie. What's her complaint?
Yeah, I'm not sure what her deal is. Like, I thought I saw a video a while ago where she was concerned about the way dark-skinned women are represented in that film, like, being warriors and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, I didn't watch much of it. Like, I don't watch her videos that much because it's all this women talk, so I don't really watch that stuff.
She be saying and doing a lot of hypocritical stuff for my taste.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she acts like she's this huge, big time, dark skinned activist, but she's not against swirling. And I don't understand how that's even possible. How can you be a dark skinned activist but be okay with swirling?
Yeah, that doesn't make any kind of sense. I mean, like you had these swirlers complaining about black men not liking dark skinned women, but when they get caught up in that swirl lifestyle, they're producing these lighter women, these lighter skinned children, and perpetuating the colorism issue and all that kind of stuff through their conduct and stuff. So that's a whole nother issue. But with Chrissy, like I think she was saying something about like this, the image of this strong black woman and not, a feminine black woman being presented in this film. I think that that's the gist of her gripe from what I remember. But, in this film, you have black women as powerful. You have black women as feminine, like Lupita's character in particular. And even like the general, she's featured in this film.
And she had a boyfriend.
With one of the guys is a key character in the film.
Right.
So it does show the feminine aspect. I mean, these are some beautiful black women.
There was no LBGT stuff going on. Exactly. A lot of people was nervous about that. It was none of that. I didn't see no gay, nothing. I didn't see nothing gay. And I thought I went in there kind of expecting it, to be honest with you, but I didn't see it. And I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't see it. And
yeah, because I know like in the new comic book, they actually have like some characters, and I got to go back and look at the comic book, like after seeing the film, but they actually have these two characters that are lesbian lovers in the comic book. And I'm glad that they didn't include that in the film because that would have just added more complications, and also it would make its appeal less wide and broad. So I'm glad that they didn't have anything like that in the film. But I think that they did have positive images of black women in this film. There's an article that I talked about on my New Possibilities channel that talks about the 5 ways that this film elevated black women. And I'll post a link in the description box to that article. But you have black women depicted in a multi-dimensional kind of way. That not only are black women powerful, intelligent, and scientists and stuff like that in this film, they're also beautiful and sexy and stuff like that. They do show black women as beautiful. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o, Angela Bassett. So I don't think black women have any reason to complain about this film.
Nothing at all. And one of my favorite parts as far as the women go was when they first got to South Korea and they got out the car, and his head of security had on that wig, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't stand having this wig on my head." And his ex was like, just wave your head around, flick it around and everything else, just like work it. And she was like, I can't. Like she was disgusted that she had that European hair on her head. She was disgusted by it. She couldn't wait to take that shit off.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think that was a powerful statement about black pride, about loving who you are and stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas like in most of the films, like they have that as like glamorous, like have black women with weaves and wigs and stuff like that on. That's like a symbol of being beautiful and stuff like that. But in this film, it was like something that the woman was like disgusted by the fact that she had to wear this wig. And I think that was a powerful statement, man.
I thought it was
a statement about black pride and loving yourself,
I thought so too. Like what's not to love about that? How can a female not love that? Like what is there not to love about that? I don't get it. I don't understand. Like people, like I said, these are people that are just looking for things to not like about the Black Panther movie. As you got a lot of people that feel like this movie is disrespectful to white people, so they don't like the movie. Like black people that think the movie is disrespectful to white people, so they don't like it because of that. They feel like it's too isolated. We should include more white people in this cast. So, like these self-hating Negro. I
actually had one person come to my page and say, "Why are you promoting this Black Pride?" And this was a black person saying, "Why are you promoting this Black Pride issue? Why is that something to celebrate?" I'm like, "Are you crazy or what, man?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Where are you coming from?" And then I had like this white person coming to my page complaining about me doing a review that includes politics and stuff like that. And I was going to just tell them like everything that I do is political. Like everything is political.
Right.
And this film was
political.
This film is political. There's no way around it. It dealt with Pan-Africanism. It dealt with nationalism and isolation and the role of developed nations and poverty and all kinds of issues, racism and
ethno states. It dealt with all that, like
tribalism. It dealt with all kinds of deep issues, man. That's why this movie, somebody could write a book on this film, man. Really, man, if they really want to break it down all the way down. There's so many things that people could talk about from this film, and that's one of the great things about it.
And that's why I love the film. And that's why I love the film, because it's going to get people talking. It just gets people talking. That's why I like the film. You know, understand? Like, it gets people looking at things a little bit different. You know, kind of like, you know, just like even if it's fantasy, it still gets people. It trains people to think a little bit different. Like, okay, well, you know, like, what if this was real? You know, like, what side of the fence would I be on? Who would I like? You know, like, who would I be able to relate to more? And like I said, this character is a deep character. I said that from day one. Like, this is a very deep character, and if they do this movie right, it should be excellent, because this character is very deep. He's not some paper cut character where, you know, he just was in his house one day and some nuclear rainstorm came and the rain got soaked on his balcony from the nuclear radio storm, and then he got some powers and he going around beating up the common thugs in the neighborhood. No, this is a deep story. Like, you know, like, this is way deeper than that. And I was like, yeah, I love the fact that they chose him to make this movie and not somebody else who probably it wouldn't have been as powerful of a message. You understand? Like, I like Luke Cage, but Luke Cage is not as powerful as a character as far as, like, you know, as far as, again, social messages and everything. And he touched on some social issues in that series as well, but this was on a way grander scale, you know, because again, it dealt in Pan-Africanism, which is something Luke Cage would never be able to touch on. You know,
that's a great point, man. And one thing I really like is the scene where, you know, he takes Killmonger to see Wakanda, like, to look over the sunrise and all that.
At the end. Yeah,
I love that scene. It's just a shame that his last, you know, that he finally gets to see Wakanda, like, in all his glory at the end of his life, man. And that was like
you didn't want to see him die. You didn't want to see him die. I didn't want to see him die at the end of that movie. Even like I would have loved to see him stick around and see what became of that character after all that. You know, like, did he change his views? Did they persecute him afterwards? You know, would they do this? Would they do that? Like, I'll be real interested to see how that worked out. But they killed him off, and I was like, damn, I wish they'd have kept him alive.
Yeah, me too, man. And then I think that you know, Black Panther actually learned from him. You know, I mean, because of that struggle with him and his character and all that kind of stuff, he decided to open up Wakanda to the world and share, like, some of his technology and, you know, and benefit people and stuff like that, benefit, you know, the Black community, like where they bought up those different housing facilities and
brought up a whole block
to give back. You know, I thought that was powerful, man. I thought that was
I thought that was powerful that he brought that whole in honor of his uncle and his cousin. And God, y'all just do not stop, bro. It's amazing. These people are crazy. He's just making trolls just to motherfucking come in here. Anyways, like I was saying before, we was rudely interrupted. You got to unmute yourself too. Possibility. Yeah, these weirdos.
Yeah, they're muting us. They coming on here muting us.
Yeah, just being stupid.
That must be the fourth one account that guy had, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. They trigger.
I'm not gonna be able to share my link anymore like that.
Especially on this topic. Yeah.
I thought I had a safe audience right now, man, and then apparently this troll.
Yeah, normally you'll be good, but being that you got that name in that title, and these white supremacists are YouTube and everything, Black Panther, so they can just do what they normally do. Yeah, yeah, they on it.
Yeah, I kind of like wish. I mean, I wouldn't mind debating them. Like, if he had something to say, bring to the table, to challenge the film, I'll tear him apart. I'll rip him apart. But all he's doing is disrupting, man, and that makes me sick, man. You know, it's like,
man, up.
Don't these people have anything better to do besides troll?
No, they don't. They bored.
Said no.
Living out in Iowa somewhere in a one-horse town, bored out his mind, blaming black people for all his little problems while he's on welfare in some little small trailer park, single wide, mad at the world. You know how these Europeans are.
Man, so let me ask you this: like, so who do you think will win in a battle, like between like Black Panther and Blade?
In a battle?
Yeah, the battle to the death or something.
That's a good question. Blade's a little bit harder to kill, I would think, just because of his giving his powers and everything. That'd be a good one though.
Or even like Luke Cage, him against Luke Cage, man. You know,
Luke Cage a tough man. Luke Cage tough. Luke Cage got that unbreakable skin. I see Black Panther be able to hit him a lot, but not really hurting him. It's gonna be hard to really injure him. That's the problem with Luke Cage.
Yeah,
how do you hurt somebody with unbreakable skin?
Yeah, and then with Black Panther, he has like that bulletproof suit and stuff like that. That strong suit.
Yeah,
and I'm like wondering if Blade would even be able to penetrate that suit with a sword or anything, man. You know,
I don't think he would. Nah, he'd probably break his sword.
Because it's made out of vibranium. The suit is vibranium, so
right. So yeah, Blade won't be able to kill him either. So yeah, Black Panther will probably beat him ultimately because Blade does need weapons. Blade needs weapons. Unlike Luke Cage. Luke Cage, his powers don't even come from. He's gonna have a hard time hurting Black Panther as well because of that vibranium. So I don't know. I don't know now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, Luke Cage don't. You know, he's hand-to-hand combat. He don't use a lot of energy of blasting people with anything or nothing. No, he don't shoot people, so he ain't gonna be. I don't know if he's gonna absorb his punches. And like, you know, that kinetic energy and then transfer it back. I don't know if that's going to work with the hand-to-hand combat. I'm not sure. Matter of fact, yeah, it does work with hand-to-hand combat because he did it. Remember the sister told him to kick?
Yeah, that's right. So he may destroy Luke Cage.
Yeah, he'll probably beat the brakes off Luke Cage now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Man. But yeah, that movie is good, man. I'm just glad to see that it's a success, you know, that it's like breaking all kinds of records.
Oh yeah. I heard it was the 5th highest grossing movie so far over the course of a week in all time.
Oh,
5th
wow.
highest all time.
I wonder if it's the best like selling Marvel film, man. I think
it is. I think it is going to be the best by the time the week, because the weekend's not done yet. They don't. They usually finish it off after Sunday after 12. So it's night after 12. They'll finish off the weekend joint. So they usually do it from Thursday to Sunday. So yeah, he still got the rest of the day. So yeah, it probably is going to be the biggest Marvel movie of all time when it's all said and done. It's on opening weekend. I think the one before that was Avengers: Age of Ultron. They said what was the previous best-selling weekend at like 220. I think like 220 million or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one. I saw the first one. The first Avengers film.
You ain't see the second one? Okay.
No, I didn't check that out.
Yeah.
I have to check that one out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but seeing this film makes me want to go back and read these comic books, you know, see what's up with them, like to see how they compare to the film and stuff, man.
Yeah, comic books is even deeper. Comic books get even deeper because, you know, the comic books are less PC than the movies will be. You know, the comic books will take you places that the movies are scared to go. Mm-hmm. That's why they switch a lot of these movies up, and a lot of these movies aren't true to the comics because the comics are too raw.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that with The Walking Dead too, man. That's one of my favorite shows where the comic book is so much different. Mm-hmm. Like I started checking out the comic book afterwards, like just to see how it compares. And it's like more raw, way more raw than the show, man. So yeah, I hear what you're saying about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Shorty Womp Womp asked like who would win between like Black Panther and Wolverine. Now that would be a good battle right there.
Yeah. That'll be a good battle. Wolverine bones is made out of adamantium, and his suit is made out of vibranium.
Yeah, I wonder which is stronger, which metal is
That's
stronger.
always been the hot topic. Like, what's the strongest metal in Marvel? Vibranium or adamantium?
Yeah,
I don't know which one's stronger. I both heard that they both is the strongest, but they both can't be the strongest. One gotta be stronger than the other. I do know this. People seem to be able to do more with vibranium than adamantium. I haven't seen a whole lot of people be able to do but so much with adamantium, as like making weapons and everything else. Like, you don't see weapons made out of adamantium. Like I see people making bones, fusing adamantium on the bones and stuff like that. But I don't see them actually making weapons and buildings and suits and stuff like that out of adamantium. So it seems like vibranium is more flexible.
Yeah, man, but that would be an interesting fight. Like, I always wondered, like, I was wondering that because, like, the Black Panther has claws. His claws can't mess with Wolverine's claws, though. Like, Wolverine's claws are longer and sharper. It looks like they're sharper and everything.
Yeah.
So that would be an interesting battle, though. But then he has, like, that metal suit. I wonder if Wolverine's claws.
And Wolverine got the healing power, so he's always going to have that. He got the healing factor.
Yeah,
so
that's the advantage he has. Like, that's definitely an advantage. So even if he gets cut, he'll heal right away.
Exactly. So he's definitely harder to kill than Black Panther by far. Wolverine one of the hardest people to kill in comics.
Yeah, man. And he's one of my favorite characters too, like Wolverine. Like back in the day, the X-Men was my favorite comic book.
Oh yeah, hands down, that was my favorite. Hands down. I mean, everything about it, the concept, the fact that it was so many of them, and it was just like, it was like a whole community of mutants, and so it was like that. Just that alone just gets you open because each person is different and different personalities, different powers and everything, and everybody got different motives, and like I just love the whole X-Men comic series. It doesn't matter what it is either. If it's X-Men, I'm all in. Like, they got that new series on Fox called The Gifted that's based behind the X-Men, and I've been watching that. That's actually a good series.
Yeah, I started checking that out. I got to get back on track with that one. But yeah, I love X-Men, man. Like, just the concept of mutants and the powers and all that kind of stuff, because they draw a lot of analogies between the plight of mutants and African Americans and other groups that have been discriminated against, and I think that's an interesting parallel and stuff.
Right.
It makes some great points, man. About tolerance and all that kind of stuff and discrimination.
Mm-hmm. That's why, and that's why I've always been a bigger Marvel fan than DC, because Marvel is way deeper than DC. DC now is starting to try to do a little bit more what Marvel does as far as getting deeper with their characters, but in the original DC characters were so copy and paste. Like you go look at the Super Friends and everything else, stuff like that. Like they all had the same pretty much look. They all acted the same. They all talked the same. None of them had different personalities. All their personalities were the same. They all agreed with everything. They never argued. It was just so unrealistic, and just a bunch of propaganda, good versus evil. They're evil. We're good. We're going to beat them up and save the day, and then we'll see you next episode. It's just like, really copy it. Whereas Marvel, you got stuff like, like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a high school kid that's living a double life. You understand what I'm saying? And he's motivated off of his uncle dying and everything. Like it's substance behind the character. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of these other characters over on DC, is really not a whole lot of substance there. It's just, people just stumbled across some powers and decided to fight evil. that's pretty much it.
I didn't feel DC as a kid. Like, I didn't really collect DC like that. Like, there were a couple of DC comic books that I would check out. Like, I used to collect, like, the Justice League and some other ones, like, I think Teen Titans and stuff like that. But for the most part, I was, like, into Marvel, man. I thought Marvel had better stories and better characters and all that kind of stuff, man.
Exactly. And they characters wasn't overpowered either. Like, outside of Batman, who has no powers, which is amazing how the guy with no powers is probably the most famous person in a company that everybody's overpowered. I mean, you got like Superman. Like, who's like who like you got to come up with some old crazy stuff to find somebody who can mess with Superman. Like he's like there's always got to be kryptonite in the episode because that's the only way you can mess with him.
Yeah.
Like he's so overpowered. Like it's like
yeah, that's the thing that bothered me about that Batman versus Superman movie. I was like, how the hell is Batman gonna mess with Superman? There's no way he's gonna mess with Superman. Like if it was a real life situation.
Yeah.
Like the idea of Batman defeating him is just ridiculous to me, man.
But it ain't just Superman. It's like, you got Green Lantern and you got, Captain Marvel, Shazam, aka Shazam, and all these overly powered people that can do everything. They can fly, they strong, they can do this, they can do all this stuff and everything.
Yeah, Superman got too many powers going on, man. He's a super fast, super strong. He has lasers.
Your heroes need weaknesses. That's what I'm saying. Like Marvel heroes had weaknesses. Like it ain't like this big overpowered person taking over everything. Like no, he has limits. He can do this, but he has limits. And that's how I like it. Like I want limitations in my heroes. Like you get these little super powered people. Like it's like you just got a whole comic book worth company worth of full of gods. It's just a bunch of gods fighting each other. I might as well read Norse mythology or Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology or something and just watch all the gods beef because that's pretty much what you got going on over there in DC.
Yeah, and then like to talk about like X-Men, like one of my favorite heroes in the X-Men was Storm. Like, and she was probably like one of the most prominent Black superheroes like that I would check out back in the day. And she's a woman and everything like that, but still, it was like she was one of the heroes, the Black heroes that really stood out, like that really had a prominent role.
One of the more popular ones in the 80s. In the 80s, she probably was the most popular Black superhero in the 80s. Storm, because that's when X-Men was getting popular and she was one of the more popular ones. Yeah, she probably was the most popular Black character in the 80s, I would have to say. Like Storm. Yeah, and that's Black Panther's wife in the comics. That's actually
I wonder, and I saw like this little meme online where people were like having Storm compete against Black Panther's ex-girlfriend and stuff.
I was wondering if they was going to make her Storm before she became Storm, but
that'd be interesting. Man.
That would have been interesting, but it's kind of hard. It was hard for them to pull off because they didn't have the movie rights for Storm. But now that they do have the movie rights to Storm, I wonder if they're going to try how they're going. Because I'm pretty sure if Black Panther has another movie, Storm would probably be incorporated some type of way.
Yeah, and who would have been made Angela Bassett when she was younger. She would have
made the perfect Storm.
And then like her character in this film kind of reminded me of Storm because she had that white hair. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She would have been a perfect Storm, man.
I hated Halle Berry as being Storm.
Yeah, she didn't fit it because she was too light skinned. Like Storm is a dark skinned, tall, beautiful Black woman.
Exactly.
So it would have, Storm has to be a dark skinned woman. But like in the films, they have her as lighter skinned. Like they have her as an Egyptian in the later films, and then all that kind of stuff, man. When they should have had her as a dark.
You talking about the Apocalypse film, right?
Yeah, the Apocalypse,
Yeah, they had the Mohawk version of Storm in that one. That was the Mohawk version.
Yeah, and I remember that one from the comic books, but it was the same person though. You know what I'm saying? It was
right.
So,
exactly. And they had, I guess, because she was playing the younger version of Halle Berry. So I guess they had to make her kind of try to resemble Halle Berry somewhat because that's how they got those X-Men franchise kind of going. Like you saw Days of Future Past, you'll know they kind of connect the old X-Men characters with the newer X-Men characters. Like, like the younger versions and the older versions, they kind of blend them in together. So the Apocalypse one, I think they was trying to shoot for a younger version of Halle Berry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's probably what they were doing, man. Yeah. But yeah, they should have had somebody else be Storm, like to begin with, like a dark-skinned, tall sister, man.
I agree. It's so many better choices they could have. But Angela Bassett would have been the perfect Storm.
Yeah, she would have been perfect. Man.
I don't know why they didn't go out there.
Younger years, like in her younger years, she would have been on point.
Yep. And that was right around that time when she was in her prime too. She was like she was still hot in Hollywood. And because we talking the 90s. So she would have been perfect. she would have been perfect. I don't know why they didn't approach her with the like. Did she ask for too much money, or did they just not ask?
Yeah,
Like
because they could have had her in the early ones, like the early X-Men films.
Yeah. I definitely, if they when they reboot the X-Men, because they will eventually reboot the X-Men, especially now that the MCU is probably going to have rights to them. They're going to end up rebooting it, and when they do, I hope they do. Well, I'm pretty sure they'll do a better job at casting, because the MCU does a way better job casting than the people over there that the Fox Studios that was doing the X-Men joint. Outside of Wolverine and the original Professor Xavier, the rest of the casting is questionable. Jean Grey was okay, I guess. I mean, Cyclops, I guess I'm okay with Cyclops. He was all right, but there was a lot of characters that I didn't agree with as far as casting goes. I thought they didn't do a good job.
Yeah, I feel you, man. It's like, and I didn't realize that the X-Men films were separate from the rest of the Marvel universe. Like they were owned by Fox. I didn't realize that, man.
Yeah, that happened in the 90s when Marvel was about to go out of business, and they had to sell the movie rights to some of their characters to stay afloat, you know, get to make up some of that money that they owed. And see, Sony had brought Spider-Man movie rights. Those first Spider-Man movies, actually, outside of the last Spider-Man movie, none of the Spider-Man movies was MCU until the last one. The last one was MCU, the Homecoming one. That one was MCU. But all the other ones were like Tobey Maguire and the Jamie Foxx one and all that. None of that was MCU. Then you got the X-Men. They brought the rights for them. Fox brought the rights to the X-Men. And then who else got their movie rights? Fantastic Four got their movie rights sold to who brought the Fantastic Four? Was that Fox too? That might be Fox too. So that's none of those Fantastic Four movies are MCU. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Well, Blade obviously wasn't MCU because that was before So yeah, that wasn't MCU either. Like none of those joints from the 90s, none of those Marvel movies from the 90s or the early 2000s was MCU. None of them.
Yeah, so speaking about Blade, and you know, Wesley Snipes played Blade and all that kind of stuff. And do you know much about like Wesley Snipes trying to get the Black Panther film done like years ago? Do you know much about that history?
It was a thing with that. He wanted to do the Black Panther, and you know, he was trying to get that done. The movie company was more leaning towards Blade though, because you know Blade is a more European friendly story. You know, Europeans can relate to Blade more than they can relate to Black Panther. You know, and they was a little bit concerned about, you know, the character and you know, I mean, you know, the message that could be given Black Panther that scares some Europeans. And plus, you had the vampire craze that was going on at the time. You know, you had the Buffy the Vampire Slayer was big at the time, and everything else. You know, everything was vampire this, vampire that. You know, X amount of years later, you had that other vampire. What was that trilogy? That movie trilogy with all them vampires, and them Europeans went crazy over it.
Yeah, I remember. I know what you're talking about.
That movie series. It's Bob.
It's on the edge of my tongue. I know exactly.
It'll hit me later. Yeah, it'll hit me later. But yeah, you had that crazy series of
Are you talking about the ones with the vampires versus the werewolves?
Yeah. You had all that stuff going on, and yeah, it was just a whole bunch of stuff. You had Interview with a Vampire, and you know all this. You know, it was just a vampire craze going on in the 90s for some strange reason. People was infatuated with vampires. So you know, Blade. They figured they could make more money off Blade, so they decided to roll Blade opposed to Black Panther, given the times and everything. And Black Panther ended up getting pushed to the back burner. Plus, they didn't have so they didn't go after the movie rights for him. They went after the movie rights for Blade. So MCU actually ended up being a good thing because if not, Black Panther might have been made, but I don't think it'd have been done that well. To be honest with you, I don't think it would have been done that well given the time and the company that was doing it. I question how good the movie would have been done. You know, I don't think they would have actually touched on the social issues the way this one did. You understand? I think they would have been scared to go certain places, say certain things. Again, so I think it was well worth the wait. because I think we got the best possible movie for this character by waiting. Because again, I think it would have came. I think they did the right thing doing rolling with Blade, with Wesley, and all that and everything. Because it's real easy, you know, just get a bunch of vampires around, have them cut all their heads off, and you know, it's real like, you know, it's real easy to make money off that. You know, just make it real action packed, and you know, just that it's not a lot of story behind it. It's really not a lot of story behind Blade. It's just a lot of action. You understand? So yeah, I think Blade was right for the time. I don't think it was the right time for a Black Panther movie at that moment.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, but I want to thank you for, you know, hanging out, you know, providing your insight and everything. I appreciate it, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I love the movie. If y'all haven't seen it, please go watch it at least once. You'll probably want to watch it again. I definitely want to see the director's cut because I know they left a few scenes out. And I definitely am curious to see how those scenes are going to tie into the director's cut. So when it comes out on Blu-ray, I will be interested in getting it just for that. But yeah, I definitely suggest everybody sees it at least once. Even if you only wait for it to come on, if you don't want to give Disney your money, but when it comes on cable, make sure you watch it. If you own Netflix, when it comes out on Netflix, make sure you watch it at least once, at least one time, just so you can see, how things, you know, it might open your mind to seeing things a little bit different, as far as like how you just view the world.
Yeah, Netflix has been getting those Marvel films sooner than they get other films. Like maybe there's some kind of deal with them or something like that, but they get a lot of those Marvel films. Like they have Doctor Strange and the other, the Iron Man and Captain America film on there. Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to buy that.
Ragnarok.
I have to buy that. So
this is actually refreshing after Thor Ragnarok too, because I was actually disappointed in that movie.
But which movie was that? Which one?
Thor Ragnarok. I was actually disappointed in that movie.
Oh, I didn't check that one out. That's on my list of movies to see. That wasn't that good, man.
It was okay. It was a little bit too comedic for me. It was just I don't know. It almost came across as a comedy at times, opposed to an actual superhero. Like Black Panther was very serious. It had a couple of comedic moments in it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was like a serious story. You understand? But this one was kind of like, it almost seemed like a comedy at times. It was weird. It was weird to watch. it was a little bit of a letdown.
Oh wow, man. And it seems like it was good, like just from the previews and stuff, like with the Hulk.
It had some good action scenes. But the story itself,
All right, I gotta check that one out, man. But thanks for chilling, hanging out and stuff like that, and chopping it up on this film. So you got any hangouts coming up soon or anything? I know you had one today.
Yeah, I did my review on the movie earlier today. I was thinking about having a discussion about this same topic later on tonight, but we'll see. I'm not sure. But yeah, if y'all want, y'all can subscribe. Psychopatheist, SYKOPATHEIST, Psychopatheist. So I appreciate you having me on New Possibilities. I'll catch you later. Maybe I can get you on the hangout later if we decide to discuss this or whatever. I want to get.
So what time you plan on having that so people could know and so I can know?
Oh, it'll be around 9, 10 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Okay. I may come through.
All right, that's what's up.
All right, man. Go.
You had me on. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right.
Peace, everybody.